Ty Slatter with GTA Sports, and welcome to another edition of GTA Heat Check's ISO Mode. Make sure you follow GTA Heat Check on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, GTA Sports. Don't forget GTASportsNet.com for all things in the world of sports. Today, as mentioned, I'm going to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. Ladies and gentlemen, I know Jokic fans that have been going back and forth on YouTube about ain't going to want to hear this, but the 76ers just caught a break. They just got better. Now you're thinking, how is this possible? James Harden took a discount. Turned down the Supermax he was eligible for. He was eligible for a whole lot of money, like biggest contract, arguably like right up there with Jokic as far as NBA history goes. He was up free agency. He opted out of the contract that he was eligible for and took a lesser deal, a team-friendly deal of $32.6 million. Now, what does this mean for the Philadelphia 76ers? They can build around them. And you still got Tobias Harris on the books that you can move if you want to throughout the season, even though it's known he plays well with James Harden at point. Joel Embiid is still on the team. Still good there. You still got the rookie extension with him. You were able to sign P.J. Tucker to a 3-year, $33 million deal. Great. It's guaranteed. They wouldn't have been able to do that deal if Harden had took the money that he was eligible for. It would have been, you would have had to move Matisse Thybulle, which is one of your rookies that you drafted. That 3-year, $33 million deal wouldn't have got done if James Harden hadn't agreed to the 2-year, $66 to $68 million contract, which includes a player option in the 23-24 season. Again, a team-friendly deal wasn't expected because every time Harden was up for the max money, he took the max dollar every time. Outside of the deal, when he left Houston and forced his way out of Houston, he was eligible for a whole lot of money because they were able to pay him the most at that time. He did take a discount to get to Brooklyn, but outside of that, James Harden is usually known for taking max dollar every time he's up for it. But James Harden is 33. He knows that his championship window is coming to a close. And Philly is in a win-now, championship or bust mode, okay? So they were able to sign P.J. Tucker, who's played with James Harden. They were able to bring in Daniel House Jr., who also played with Harden in Houston. So these are players he's familiar with, players that know his system, knows how he likes to play. You still got Tyrese Maxey, who's growing and developing as an up-and-coming point guard underneath James Harden. He's mentoring. You were able to get Shake. You still got Shake. You also were able to bring in DeAnthony Melton from the Memphis Grizzlies, who's a great spark off the bench for Memphis and looks to do the same thing here. And depending on how they do rotations with Doc Rivers as the head coach, because he is returning as the head coach, we can see DeAnthony Melton taking that next step and being in the starting lineup. It's very possible. It all depends on how he fits with the bench players versus the starters. Obviously, Maxey took that next step last year, had a breakout season behind James Harden, shows a lot of promise. The biggest concern was, are we going to have to trade Matisse Thybulle, who is your defensive anchor? Of course, they had to waive Danny Green once he tore his ACL. He's obviously a veteran player who's aging, and those kind of injuries, take longer to come back from. So, unfortunate for him. But in order to get these deals done the way they did them, obviously it was with the, presumed conclusion that Danny Green will no longer be a part of the team next year. If he hasn't already, he's going to get waived. I believe he already got waived because he's no longer on the active roster. So I'm pretty sure they waived Danny Green. Thybulle is going to get a lot more. He's going to be the highlight on defense. I expect Joel Embiid to have another great season. Last season was probably arguably his healthiest season by far. He came in second in the MVP running to Jokic, even though Jokic fans have been giving me hell ever since me and Antonio dropped that video in regards to the gap between Joel Embiid's talent and Jokic's talent. That's not what this video is about. So Jokic fans, if you're expecting me to have this video talk, this is not about Jokic. I've already explained in the comments section and in those videos where I stand with that. Say that for another ISO mode. This is about the Philadelphia 76ers wanting to take the East once again, putting themselves in position to be a contender for a championship. James Harden gave them a team-friendly deal. Great for them. My thoughts on the take, He wants to win. He wants to win bad. He wants to stay in Philly. He wants to stay with his general manager, Daryl Morey. He wants to, obviously he was okay with Doc Rivers as the coach. We'll see how that goes this season. I'm a little surprised. I thought he might have got the boot, or that was coming, but we'll see. I believe, unless there's another player that they're going after, I believe they're going to re-sign Korkmaz. Again, one of the best shooters. I don't want to call him a bench player, but he plays, depends on how they use him. He's definitely a spark off the bench if you use him that way, but he actually has gotten starter minutes throughout last season. So don't be surprised if they find a way to re-sign him. He's on a team-friendly contract as well. When it comes to cap space, they're $59 million, over the cap. I think Philly did great this offseason overall. What's gonna have to happen is Charles Bassey's gonna have to definitely take that backup center spot for Embiid unless they can sign somebody on a veteran minimum. Don't be surprised. I don't know if this will happen or not. Don't be surprised if Dwight Howard or somebody in Dwight Howard's position, contract-wise, finds their way in Philly. Dwight was a good fit in Philly for the season. He went there and came back to L.A., but I don't see L.A. bringing him back next season, just due to the moves they're trying to make. He's worth more than what they can afford to pay him. Let's be honest. So I can see them going back after him. I can see them going after DeMarcus Cousins, producing at that level. Still productive, still could be vital on a contender. Again, DeMarcus Cousins, Dwight Howard, just to name a few. These are guys that, you want to have a part of your team and come off the bench and help, Joel Embiid take some of the load off his shoulders. So don't be surprised if Philly finds a way to do that. Overall, where do I see Philly with this move? They're going to need a couple more shooters. It never hurts because you're going to have to replace the shooting that you're not going to get from Danny Green. He's no longer part of the team. So Danny Green leaving with the ACL injury and getting waived. You bring in PJ, but PJ's not expected to shoot. He can, baseline threes. But he's more there as a defensive anchor to support Matisse Thybulle. He's going to be that veteran to help him develop into the defensive anchor, that he basically has become already, but he'll take him to the next level. Having a veteran like PJ Tucker on your team, a dog, you saw what he did in Milwaukee. He was a key component into the Milwaukee Bucks getting their championship a couple years ago. Unfortunately, Miami had the same aspirations this past season, but they, of course, ran into a situation in Boston that took 7 games, had a few injuries. They were a little banged up. So, unfortunately, PJ, he did what he could. He definitely contributed, but it just wasn't enough to get past, the Celtics. But in Philly, being reunited with James Harden, Joel Embiid, I think that's going to be I think defensively this team is going to step it up. Expect Philly to be a top 3 defensive team in the East. And when it comes to standings, I got Philly in the top 3. Philly will be in the top 3 in the East. Barring injury, Harden gets in the best shape of his life at 33, going on 34 years old. New money. Joel Embiid stays relatively healthy just like he did last season. Of course, you got the young guys. The Shake Milton's is going to take a step up. He's going to level up. The Anthony Melton just got a bag. He's going to level up. Matisse Thybulle is going to be your defensive anchor. Korkmaz, if you re-sign him, which you should because he has a team-friendly contract, you don't have to pay him too much. For offense and a little bit of defense, overall, the defensive makeup of this team is a threat in the East, as it should be. Philly should always be in the conversation. Always be in the conversation of who's going to come out the East, who's going to fight for the crown in the East. If Boston's taking a step down, with these moves, Philly just took a step above them. I got Philly looking slightly better as a team than the Boston Celtics. I'm not saying that they have a Jason Tatum and a Jaylen Brown on their team. I'm not saying that at all. I won't say that. That's not realistic. They have potential to be the best team in the East. And you got to give credit where credit is due. I got Philly, either going. They gotta go to the championship at some point. Joel Embiid's only got a couple years left before his body starts to fall apart. It's not saying that he doesn't take care of himself. It's just the reality. When you're a 7-footer in the NBA, your prime is shortened, not because of anything that you've done wrong. It's just the mechanics and the physics and the toll that an 82 game season takes on a body of a 7-footer. To a lesser example, look at Anthony Davis, and his issue is a little different because he got a late growth spurt, so he plays like he's still that small guard that he once was at 7 foot, and the mechanics just don't work. So that's why he's always getting banged up. But again, he's still in the conversation because he is roughly a 7-footer. The only exception to that is Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I think that's just the extremes that he's put his body through to get in the peak shape that he's in the course of his NBA career. He's an anomaly. He's like a LeBron James, if you will, as far as just coming into the league and just being relatively healthy and only getting stronger and stronger and stronger each season. His durability is off the charts, so he's an outlier in my opinion. And I will do Isomo on the Bucks at some point, because that's one of my teams I love to watch. One of my underdog teams. I always keep them in the conversation, not just because they won championship cups. I was rooting for the Bucks when they were flaming out, the years prior, going into that. So, this is not just because they were a defending champ once upon a time in recent memory. Philly, with the team they have right now, they have a window of about 2 years before they blow this whole thing up. They really could do it next season. They really could blow it up. But they just signed James Harden a 2-year deal, and I believe as long as James Harden's contract that is exactly the championship window for Philly. Philly has to win a title in the next 2 seasons. Really next season. But at worst case scenario, they have to win it on James Harden's final year on the contract. Because that last year, that's an option. They gave him a 2-year plus one. I mean, it's by then you're looking at a 36, 37-year-old James Harden who is historically known not to be in the best shape starting the season. He plays himself into shape throughout the season, and as you get older, that becomes harder and harder to do, and it leaves you more injury prone as the years go on. So hopefully he changes something in his off-season routine to prolong or to extend. But other than that, it's that's your window, 2 years. Because by then, Joel Embiid's body's going to start having issues again because he's been relatively healthy the last season or so, which is great. And I don't want to, knock on wood. But the reality of it is most bigs in his position don't stay healthy long enough. So overall, the Philadelphia 76ers look great right now. Congratulations to Daryl Morey. I see why he could be an executive of the year. Depending on how they perform this season, don't be surprised if they throw Doc Rivers in for Coach of the Year. He'll be in the running. I don't know if he'll win it. He'll be in the running. Daryl Morey could be in the running for Executive of the Year. Great offseason by Philly. You're able to retain players that were definitely on the block. Tobias was in trade talks. Thibault was definitely on the trade market. Mainly because you gotta give something to get something. And that was only if James Harden took the max deal he was eligible for. But because he understood, look, I am at the twilight of my career. This is probably one of my last chances to win a championship. Let me take a discount. That way the team can build, get better, and we can figure out how to get over the hump and win a championship here in Philadelphia. So congratulations to James Harden, Daryl Morey, for coming together and looking at the greater good of the team and making a decision that's better for the franchise. That's pretty much my ISO mode for the Philadelphia 76ers. Hopefully they can get over the hump and get a title within the next 2 years. That would definitely put Joel Embiid in a better conversation in regards to the best centers in the league. And all the trust in the process and all the things that they, tanked all those years. All of that would actually finally pay off if Philly could get one ring. It would make everything right. It would solidify James Harden as one of the greatest guards in the history of the NBA. Not just from a statistical standpoint, but to have a title, it just cements everything that James Harden has already done, as well as the MVP down in Houston. And the legend of Houston Harden would be solidified in the history books. This has been another episode of GTA Heat Checks ISO Mode. You can follow me at Top Slatter on all social media platforms. Don't forget to follow GTA Sports Network on social media platforms, GTA Heat Check as well. And until next time, take care.